guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Sadaf and I love all things home decor and DIY. In my past uploads, I've usually had 3 DIYs in one video, but then in order for them not to be super duper long, I would have to edit them out a lot, cut the tutorials, and I feel like some of them were kind of confusing. So for this week, I decided to have 2 DIYs but make them longer so you can see more steps and slower paced DIYs. So definitely let me know which style, which format you prefer. Do you like more of those fast-paced, more compact videos, or this slower, more steps type of video? So let's just get into it. First DIY starts with surprise, some more lost footage. But I promise this is the only footage that I've lost. I started by covering a pot that I had with some acrylic texture medium. You could use joint compound if you don't have access to that. And it doesn't matter how you cover it. I just wanted to give my pot a ton of texture. And I just let it sit out and dry, and now you can see here I'm just sanding it down to get rid of any sharp edges. I obviously didn't want to lose all the texture, so I'm just lightly sanding it just so that I can get rid of those little sharp pieces. And then I wiped it down, cleaned it all off. And you can see the texture here better. For painting my pot, I grabbed some white acrylic paint and I just started adding black acrylic paint and mixing it. I just kept on adding until I reached the darkness that I liked, and just started painting my pot. Just took my time, got into all the nooks and grooves and crannies that I'd created with the texture medium. This is the pot dry. Then I grabbed some more white acrylic paint, added a tiny amount of black paint just so I could make a very light gray paint, and then I added some orange. This way I was able to make a light creamy paint. You could obviously use just creamy, whatever creamy acrylic paint that you like. I just like mixing my own colors. Then I sprayed some water on top of my pot, grabbed some of the paint and just dabbed it on top of the wet area. And you don't need a lot of paint for this. Then I grabbed a towel and started wiping down and cleaning all the excess cream paint. And this way you get some of that creamy paint inside those nooks and grooves that you've created with the texture. And then because you clean the excess paint with the towel, the raised areas are going to be grayish, and this creates a very nice effect in my opinion. I just kept on going, and whenever you feel like you've added too much cream paint, you can just add some more water and yeah, just clean the creamy paint off until you're happy with how it's looking. And the light was a bit intense here, so you can't really see the effect that I was going for, but you'll see later. repeated the same thing all over my pot and just cleaned the creamy paint until I was happy with the effect. Here's the pot complete. Then I just decided to clean some more of the creamy paint of the raised areas. My towel has the tiniest amount of moisture at this point, so I'm just lightly cleaning the creamy paint. Here's the pot complete. For my second DIY, I grabbed this little jar, grabbed some raffia. You can find raffia on Amazon. I have this twisted one, but there are flat versions of it as well. You could use either. I measured from one side to the other side of the jar, cut 16 pieces. Then I grabbed a piece of cardboard, made 8 cuts, grabbed 4 of those 16 pieces, put them in 2 of the cuts, and then grabbed another 4, put them in the other 2 cuts, but in the opposite direction, you could say, and then grabbed the next 4 next to our first group, and then the 4th one we're gonna go over where our second row is gone under. I don't know how to explain it, but you'll see here what we're gonna end up with. And then I grabbed a very long piece of raffia. I folded it in half. I put one end of that long piece under 2 of our groups, and I just pulled until I reached the center, and this is our weaving cord, I'm gonna call it. Grab the end that was on the top and put it underneath our 2 next groups, pull the other one, grab the end that's on top, put it underneath the next 2 groups, and pull the other one. After 2 rows, I just removed my weaving from the cardboard, and you want to make sure you don't lose your weaving cords at this point. And as you can see here, I just kept on weaving the same way, and after 3 rows I just separated my groups, and yeah, I started weaving with the groups of 4, and again we have 2 ends of the same weaving cord that we had in the beginning, and they're going over and under our groups at the same time. One is going under and the other is going over, and then for the next group they're just gonna switch places. The one that was at top goes under and the other one goes over. And then after a couple more rows I separate them even further, and I started weaving with each 2 strands of raffia. Again, the same technique, the same weaving. Our 2 long pieces, our 2 weaving cords are just gonna go over and under. And then I grabbed another piece of raffia, folded it in half, and just put it around my weaving cord, and it's just gonna hang there. We're not gonna attach it to anywhere. It's just gonna go there, and we're gonna keep weaving just as we would normally, and you'll see later why we need that. And here you can see this is the next row. I reached that little piece that we added. I just kept on weaving like normal, and the new piece of raffia is now a part of our weaving as well. And I kept on weaving until my weaving was the same size as the bottom of my jar. And then what I did was I just put the weaving underneath the jar and grabbed both my weaving cords and went under once and over once, and literally just kept on doing the same thing. I'm holding the rest of the raffia with my hands just so I have a nicer, neater weaving, and I can actually weave according to the shape of my jar, if that makes sense. But the weaving here is actually way easier. It's just under and over. And when we reach our second row here, you'll see where we went under this time is going to be over, and when we went over the previous row, this time we're going to go under, and this happens naturally because we added that one extra piece of raffia. If our pieces are an even number, that's not gonna happen, and each row is gonna be the same as the previous. And I ran out of my raffia. I just grabbed my piece, put it underneath two of the previous rows and towards the back side of the weaving, obviously, and I just pulled it. You'll see here I'm just using my hands to pull the weaving and make it look tight and nice. And this is kind of hard to show, but I grabbed two new pieces of raffia, two long new pieces of raffia, and I added them in the same exact area. Just putting it underneath our previous rows, and it's gonna help keep it in place. The only thing to keep in mind is that you want to do this when you're naturally supposed to go under. You don't want to do it when you're going over. And then yeah, this is what I ended up with. And when I reached the top of the jar, because this weaving isn't a very tight weaving on its own, I decided to add one more row with the previous technique where our weaving cords are going over and under at the same time. One is going underneath, the other is going over, and then they switch places. And just one row was enough to give my weaving some structure and make everything just tight and in place. Then I removed the weaving from the jar. To finish off all the extra pieces, I just each group and put them underneath a couple of the previous rows, but you can do them in the same place, but I moved them to the next pieces, if that makes sense. I think you can see it in the video, and this way it made the tiniest little arch effect at the top. And here's the jar complete. Then for the lid, I literally just repeated the same thing I did for the bottom of the jar. So I measured from side to side, added some, cut 16 pieces, and used the cardboard to start the weaving. Yeah, basically just the same thing. This jar does look kind of farmhousey, but I kind of like it. I don't know. Let me know what you think about it. Then I used some hot glue and attached the piece that I had woven on top of the lid. And here I didn't change my weaving pattern. I just kept on weaving the same way, but I would just pull the little raffia pieces down to kind of give my weaving the shape of the lid itself. And I should mention, I did use hot glue, but it was a mistake. I should have used super glue. And again, using my hot glue, I would just separate the weaving from the lid and add hot glue in between them. But like I said, if I were to make this again, I would definitely use super glue or something stronger. I just tried to add as much glue as I possibly could, so they would help just keep the weaving intact. And then I just cut all the extra pieces, and my little woven kind of farmhousey jar was complete. So I hope you enjoyed today's DIYs. If you did, please let me know down below which one was your favorite, and make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Hope to see you again. Bye!